everybody today. This is Detroit AllyCat. You're back on my channel and it is Spooky Saturday. I bet you're wondering why I'm all dolled up for you. I will tell you that, but first, let's get spooky. Okay, so I have a pretty interesting job. I've talked about it before. I work at haunted houses. I am a circus performer. So I'm getting ready to go to work, but I really didn't want to let you guys down. I wanted to throw up a spooky Saturday because I've been very inconsistent for a while. So I want to talk about something that is kind of close to my heart, I guess, but not really, but kind of sorta. So let's just talk about it. Alright, so the urban legend that I want to talk about, and I do say urban legend because I've been doing some research, and it seems like every single story that you read, there is a different version of it. So I'm going to call it an urban legend. So the urban legend that I'm going to tell you about is in the Canton area, and it's in the Canton, Denton, Belleville area. And the reason that I said that it was kind of close to my heart, and I think I'm actually going to take a trip out there to see if what I'm about to tell you is true, is because the man that gave me faith in men is buried there. My grandfather, his name is Red, and it's actually on his tombstone. I'm not going to tell you his last name because I do not want you going and doing weird stuff to his tombstone. But he is buried in Belleville, and yeah, I've been wanting to go out there for a while. But it was kind of interesting to find some kind of a story like this in Belleville, especially dealing with the one graveyard. I guess there might be two. I'm not sure. You can't quote me on it. But there's a story about the graveyard that he's buried in. So let's talk about the story that I really thought was very interesting. So there is a street called Denton, and there are multiple stories about Denton. Number one, there used to be a bridge on Denton, and it was called the Denton Bridge, but it was actually called the Goat Bridge. If you hear my dog in the background, just, know that I have a dog. He's really cute. His name is Spooky. Life goes on. Pay no bother. We all have dogs. If you don't, why not? You'd be better if you did. Anyway, so the reason that this bridge is called Goat Bridge instead of Denton Bridge is because multiple people have sworn that they have seen a goat on the bridge. And as the story goes, there was a man that was hung on the bridge in the 1920s, and he was like a farmer, and it was kind of like a racial thing. So actually they had some experts that looked into that story, and it turns out that the man that they said never really exists. So there was no hanging on the bridge. I mean, unless there was a pretty good cover-up, but they had historians actually looking at it. There is no longer a Denton Bridge, but apparently that was supposed to be like a really spooky, scary area. The next one that I looked into was the lights that follow you. And this one is really interesting because I did a whole bunch of research on it, and I swear not one YouTube channel actually explains why there are lights. They're going out there with their little EVPs, and they're putting their little tongs up in the air, and they're like, "Luke, are you out there?" Okay, so I'm going to explain to you what the story is. So the story goes that in the 1950s, there was a man. It was either on his graduation night or it was on his prom night, and he was on his motorcycle, and he actually got into an accident, and he died. So if you go out there on Denton Road, I believe in Denton, but Denton and Canton are kind of by each other. And you have to like bear with me because I am not from Denton, even though this is a Michigan story. But there is a road called Denton, and I'm gonna go out there because my grandfather's buried out there, so why not, right? So if you go on the road and you start driving at night, it has to be at night, it can't be during the day, all of a sudden you will see lights behind you, and the lights will start following you. And if you get to a certain point and you turn off your car, the lights will like veer off and go away, which I kind of think is really cool because like that means that like he's there. And I mean, if I was going to predict what that meant, it meant that he was following you behind so you wouldn't suffer the same fate as he did. That's just my like romantic notion of the whole thing. So that is actually the Denton Road like urban legend, and there is a couple more that I'm gonna tell you about. So there is supposedly only one graveyard in that area, but I'm willing to bet a couple more have like popped up recently, or maybe they've always been there. So the story goes that there was a blue witch, and she was found there. I don't know if she killed her child or she left her child alone and the baby died, and they found her and they hung her in the graveyard. And now if you go at the graveyard at a certain time, you hear crying of a baby. And apparently the graveyard is haunted by the blue witch. Now, I know that there's not a lot of like backstory to this. Like I try to be pretty thorough, like this person was born on this and this day. I can't prove that these things actually existed. There's been a lot of stuff in our history that you cannot prove that actually existed, and they did, but you can't prove that they didn't. So you got to take it for what it is. And now the final urban legend in the area is the story of the train tracks. So apparently there was a school bus on the train tracks, and it stalled out and the train hit them and a bunch of kids died. So I also could not find this story, which you think it would be fairly easy to find the story because, you know, a bunch of kids dying on a train track, but I couldn't find it. But you gotta understand also, like, the internet was not a thing in 1952 or 1922. Like, it was all on microfiche. And if you don't know what microfiche is, it's like this like weird like camera reel that you put on like a projector, and it's kind of complicated, but not really complicated. But we don't really use it anymore. It used to be at libraries, but I haven't seen it in a long time. However, I haven't been into a library in a long time either. So anyway, back to the story. So these kids died with the train crash. Now, apparently, if you go on the train tracks at a certain time, your car will stall out. But if you stop, all of a sudden your car will be moved off of the train tracks. And if you get out and look at the back of your car, there will be all these little hands on the back of your car. And I really like this story because I think it's really cute to think that if like kids that, you know, died tragically are once again protectors of the area and they push people off the tracks, it's way better than like holding your car to the tracks so you can die. The Denton Canton area is like a really interesting area. They have a lot of urban legends. They have a lot of hauntings. Apparently there's some kind of like witch that lives there, and I say witch loosely, but she talks about all the urban legends and all that stuff, and she's an expert. So I want to go there. I want to go check it out. I definitely want to videotape it. If you're interested in me going there and checking it out, I'm not going to have an EVP thing. Maybe I will. I don't know. It might be kind of fun. But I'm not going to run around like the Blair Witch Project being like, Luke, Are you there? Yes, I am. I don't think that's the way it works. I could be wrong, and 100 of psychics are probably cursing my name right now. But, yeah, so I would like to do that. Also, I was thinking that just because it is the spooky season and I'm not going to be able to do like 30 days of blah blah blah, because I actually work all 30, like most of the days. I thought maybe you guys might want to come to work with me and see what I do. If you're interested in doing that, please let me know. I might even be able to get through the haunt and actually show you it, which will be really cool. So yeah, thank you so much for watching my channel. Please subscribe. I would love it if you hung out with me. I have lots to talk about. We're gonna dive into human trafficking, serial killers, missing persons, spooky stuff, all kinds of crazy things. Yeah. So I would really love if you subscribed. And don't be a ghost. Like, press that little thumbs up. It really makes me feel good when you do it. I mean, if you don't like me, you can do the thumbs down, I guess. But, you know, it means you're a... Alright, guys. The season of haunting is here. So I'm in my, like, element. And anyway, stay spooky and stay safe.